We're going to do something a little bit different in this segment, and I'm curious to hear if you all enjoy it and would want future segments like this one. So I'm going to respond to TikToks in the MAGA world. Okay, so MAGA TikToks, and give my thoughts in the moment. I haven't watched these yet, which is very different than my normal segments where I come prepared to have something to say to you, and instead I'll have to respond in real time. My colleague Jack did a deep dive, so thank you to him for going through this, into the MAGA TikTok world and pulled these videos. So here we go. This first one is from the account Date Right Stuff, and I am familiar with the Right Stuff dating app, or is it called Date Right Stuff? Or I've heard of this right-wing dating app, which is essentially for only conservatives to find love. So there we go. And let's see what this guy has to say.
So the most powerful governments in the world can't solve homelessness, but they can change the Earth's temperature if you pay a few more taxes.
Very proud of himself there. So first off, if he's referencing Biden has committed and has followed through on this to not raising the taxes of anyone making less than $400,000 per year. So that doesn't apply to most people watching this TikTok. And let's see, it looks like I'm accidentally getting the next one started. And then also, I don't like this notion that if a problem is complex to solve and we've struggled to solve it, that we should give up on solving it. A little crazy in my mind. And also some places, I just recently read something about Finland really effectively addressing homelessness. And so some places have been able to address homelessness. A country our size and as complex as our homeless problem is, it's going to be very difficult for sure. But again, giving up on it because it's hard seems ridiculous. Plus, it's the people likely that he supports that are the ones against the investments necessary to address an issue like homelessness, because we don't have the money because we got to do more tax cuts for those who already have so much, i.e. Trump. And then climate change, we have made a lot of strides positively on addressing climate change, especially under Biden, the largest climate bill in the history of the country, and that will cut emissions by 40% by 2030, at least is what it was expected to do when it was initially signed into law. That's a huge step in the right direction and will make an impact. And ignoring that for the sake of a quick quip there, I think is actually to the detriment of Americans. And then also, I really find problematic, because it's easy, it's lazy, it's simple, to feel like because the government has messed up on things that, well, surely our elected leaders could never do anything well, could never solve any problems, even though if you look at some of the major issues of our time, we've made huge progress on them. A good example is poverty. In the United States, millions, just to pick one program, not to mention all of them, but millions of people every year are pulled out of poverty because of Social Security, because of tax dollars. And Medicare, the healthcare system, getting people healthcare, health insurance after you're retired. How are we going to take care of people who aren't making money anymore, but still need so much care, often more care? And then boom, Medicare was created and is extremely popular, is effective at what it's doing. And we should make improvements, but generally effective. And if he took the stance of throw that out, I think that would be a very unpopular stance. So a lot of things wrong with that 9-second clip. Here's the next one.
Joe Biden.
I'm going to pause your viewing of this video super quickly to ask you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just click that subscribe button, and right next to it is the join button. So you can become a member to get the daily bonus show by clicking that join button. Back to the video.
Has done more for Ukraine in a single term than he's done for America in 50 years.
I know he's delivering it in that way because it gets engagement when you're sort of cringe and you make people upset, but it's working. It's really irritating to watch. So Biden's done more for Ukraine in his term than his entire career for the United States. It's obviously ludicrous, but to be more specific, even if we set aside the very justifiable reasons for supporting Ukraine and why that's important, obviously, even if you, within that, extract out the reasons that just include Ukraine and their sovereignty and us wanting our ally not to be invaded for the sake of them, but let's just completely set that aside and be selfish about our own goals and intentions. The national security interests we have in this and the geopolitical interest in making sure Russia is not able to just invade and take over countries, our adversary, and potentially, if they further aggress, cause an even more destabilized globe that doesn't benefit us. Yes, stopping them in their tracks now is really important for the United States, and us, all we have to do is give aid, and then Ukraine's actually doing the hard work there. Definitely something that we should be in favor of. But no, Biden hasn't done more for them than the United States. If you want to phrase it as what Biden has done for the United States, he's been one of the most successful presidents in modern American history at doing things for the United States. His legislative record, as we've talked on the show so much about, is pretty stunning. The Inflation Reduction Act, the American Rescue Plan, the historic infrastructure law, the largest investment in infrastructure since the Eisenhower Highway Program, someone that this guy's hero, likely Donald Trump, promised to do and didn't get it done. And then the Chips and Science Act, the PACT Act, the gun safety bill overseeing the largest federal investment in public safety in American history, which, at the same time, we're seeing a rapid decrease in crime, seeing a pretty stunning economic recovery on his watch that has outpaced other comparable economies. That should be something we're patriotic, we can unify around. Yes, the United States recovered in a really strong way compared to the rest of the world, but instead they ignore that for the sake of attacking Biden politically. I think I addressed his talking point. Here's the next one. Gosh, another one from him? Ugh.
The same people that forced you to get vaccinated to keep your job then let in 10 million people who were unvaccinated and unemployed.
Okay, so he's referring to undocumented immigrants. Yes, it's important to be vaccinated, and no, 10 million undocumented immigrants have not been, quote unquote, let into the United States. I've come across the talking point before, so I don't remember the exact number. This is the issue with responding in the moment. But the number they reference is encounters at the southern border, and 10 million also is above the last that I saw that was at least under 9 million encounters, to be clear. And because of Title 42, and just across the entire presidency of Biden, this is a phenomenon, but it was exacerbated in Title 42. People are just immediately turned around, and so then they just keep coming back and keep being turned around and keep coming back. And each one of those is counted as an encounter, even though it's the same person, racking up a large number of quote-unquote encounters. And you were more likely to be released under the Trump administration than the Biden administration. An analysis that we reviewed in the past showed, and let's see, what else about that talking point is silly. If we are concerned about the border not being secure enough, or they don't care about this, but I think we should invest more in making it more efficient and more humane and all these things, but also just us feeling like we got it under control, however they would phrase it. The bipartisan border deal was shot down by MAGA because they didn't want Biden to get a win on the border. And Biden keeps proposing more investments into the southern border. And it's often Republicans who actually, when you get to the nitty gritty, like the Stop Fentanyl Act, they oppose it. So it's all talk, no actual actions. We finally get away from that guy to this video, which I have seen this before. I saw a YouTuber cover it. Oh no. So I can just tell you what you're about to watch is this guy praying to Donald Trump when he's about to be arrested by the cops.
Donald Trump, if you can hear us, please, Donald Trump, please save me. Please save me, Donald Trump, please. I'm asking you. Please save me. Please get these people away from me. In dear God's name, please stop these people.
I don't know if that's real, but if that's real, that's really disturbing. So for our podcast listeners, he was sitting in a car, the cops were trying to get in, and he was sitting there in this locked car praying to Trump and hoping that Trump would come save him. It seems like something that could be faked, but I've also seen other people reporting on it as if it were real. So if it's real, it's disturbing. Then here's this one.
America's been drinking beer from a company that doesn't even know which restroom to use. That's why I created Conservative Dad's Ultra Right 100%
How could we do MAGA TikTok and not have to hear about Bud Light?
woke-free beer. As conservatives, we're constantly getting hit in the face, left and right. by the woke mind virus. The last place we want it is in our beer. If you know which bathroom to use, you know what beer you should be drinking. Stop giving money to woke corporations that hate our values. And to the rest of you woke corporations, stay the away from our kids.
So, let me say this. While we're concerned, and by we I mean those who hold my politics, about pulling people out of poverty, addressing issues with our healthcare system, trying to make sure kids aren't killed at schools, trying to give people their rights back, their bodily autonomy back. This guy's concerned with woke beer. So, really, difference in priorities there. And also, even if we jumped into the substance of the argument he's making, it's absurd. Saying you can be yourself is not a threat to children. And if he is concerned, as I previously referenced, about children, hey, maybe he should care like this much about the leading cause of death for children in the United States being firearms. And he probably, given conservative dads is his username, is probably not on board with the very regulations to firearms that would make the epidemic of gun violence not so severe. I'll leave it there. Let me know what you thought of all that. Let me know what you thought of this type of segment, a little more off the cuff, responding to content creators on the right, in the comments.